The setup for the power clean: stand shoulder width apart and with your arms straight and back flat, grab the bar right outside of the legs. For the upward phase, lift the bar off the floor by forcefully extending the knees and hips while pulling the bar up as hard as possible. After the bar passes the knees, thrust the hips forward to make contact with the bar and pull the bar up and swing elbows up and underneath the bar. After landing with the knees slightly bent, stand up fully, locking out the hips and knees. For the downward phase, lower the elbows to unrack the bar from on top of your shoulders and lower the bar to the mid-thighs. Then lower the bar back to the floor, the same way that you would finish a deadlift, by ending the rep. For the breathing, breathe in and hold during the upward phase, exhale in the downward phase. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, it occurs in the sagittal plane. The knees and hips go through flexion and extension, and the shoulders and elbows also do. And there's also some ankle, plantar, and dorsiflexion. The muscles used in the power clean are the gluteus maximus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, rectus femoris, soleus, gastrocnemius, deltoids, and traps. No spotters needed for the exercise. The cues: the first cue is thrust. This is for the hips to move against the bar to help get the bar up on the reps. Second is elbows up. Get the elbows up and underneath the bar, parallel to the floor. And third is back flat to keep the upright posture. Three sources of error. The first error is no thrusting to help move the bar, so the cue of thrust helps to emphasize the need to thrust. The second is your elbows pointed down, so the cue of elbows up helps to get them parallel to the floor. And the third is having a rounded back or looking down, so the cue of back flat keeps your eyes up and the back straight. For the setup of the power snatch, stand shoulder width apart and grab the bar with a wide grip, a length that is comfortable with your arms still straight. For the upward phase, start the rep the same as the power clean, forcefully pulling the bar up and extending the knees and the hips, keeping the bar close to the body. As the bar passes the knees, thrust the hips to move the thighs against the bar and pull the bar overhead. Simultaneously, while this is happening, squat down under the load and catch the weight with your arms fully extended and the bar overhead. Stand up straight by extending the knees and hips and stand tall. For the downward phase, lower the bar and control the descent to the thighs. Then flex the knees and hips to absorb the force of the bar. Then perform the same downward phase of the deadlift, controlling the bar to the floor, finishing the rep. For the breathing, breathe in and hold during the upward phase and exhale on the downward. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, this occurs in the sagittal plane. The knees and hips go through flexion and extension, same as the elbows and shoulders, and the ankles go through some plantar and dorsiflexion. The muscles used in this exercise are the gluteus maximus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, rectus femoris, soleus, gastrocnemius, deltoids, and the trapezius. No spotter is needed. Three cues. The first is bar tight, keep the bar close to the body. Second is under, to get under the bar to catch the weight. And the third is thrust, to thrust the hips to help get the bar past your waist. Three sources of error. The first one is the bar too far from the body, so the cue of bar tight helps keep the bar close. Second is not getting under the bar or under the weight quick enough, so the cue of under reminds them to do this. And the third is not good technique to complete the first pull phase, so the cue of thrust helps them to remind to do this. For the setup of the push jerk, grab the bar slightly wider than shoulder width, standing in the same position as a barbell shoulder press, with your feet hip width apart. For the upward phase, dip down to less than a quarter squat and forcefully push through the feet and extend the knees and hips and push the weight overhead. Then squat down under the weight to catch it with your arms fully extended and then stand up straight. For the downward phase, control the bar down to the front delts while squatting to a quarter squat at the same time to help absorb the weight. For the breathing, breathe in and hold during the upward phase and exhale on the downward. Repeat this for all reps. For the biomechanics, it occurs in the sagittal plane. The hips and knees go through flexion and extension, same as the elbows and shoulders, and there is some ankle, dorsi, and plantar flexion. The muscles used are the gluteus maximus, semimembranosus, semitendinosus, biceps femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus intermedius, vastus medialis, rectus femoris, soleus, gastrocnemius, deltoids, and trapezius. No spotter is needed. Three cues for this. The first is head back. Get the head back while pushing overhead. The second is push up. So push vertically, not forward in front of you. And the third is push, don't press. So remind to use the legs. 3 errors. The first is hitting the bar in your nose or other parts of your head. So the cue of head back prevents this from happening. The second is pushing the bar too far forward. So the cue of push up reminds them to push vertically instead of any horizontal movement. And the third is using only your delts and triceps to press. So the cue of push, don't press reminds them to use their legs. The setup of the box jump is stand in front of the box with your feet at about shoulder width apart. For the upward phase, swing your arms down and do a counter movement, and then jump onto the box with both legs. For the downward, land on the box in a half squat, stepping down from the box. Repeat and do another rep. For the breathing, breathe in before the rep and hold for the rep. Exhale and breathe between reps. For the biomechanics, it occurs in the sagittal plane. The knees, hips, and shoulders go through flexion and extension, and the ankles go through plantar and dorsiflexion. The muscles used are the gluteus maximus, rectus femoris, vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, vastus intermedius, biceps femoris, semitendinosus, semimembranosus, the gastrocnemius, and the soleus. No spotters needed for this exercise. The cues, the first cue is swing. Swing your arms to perform the counter movement. The second is soft landing. Land with your knees bent. And the third is knees out to prevent valgus collapse of your knees. 3 sources of error. The first is not using your arms at all, so the cue of swing helps to remind to swing arms. The second is landing stiff-legged, so the cue of soft landing reminds them to land with their knees bent. And the third is knees caving in, so the cue reminds them to keep their knees out, reminds them to keep their knees out and prevents valgus collapse. And for the drop freeze, for the setup, stand on a box with the toes near the edge. For the downward, step off the box and land on both feet, landing in about a quarter squat. For the biomechanics, this occurs in the sagittal plane. The knees and hips go through flexion and extension, the ankles through plantar and dorsiflexion. The muscles used are the gluteus maximus, all parts of the quads, all parts of the hamstrings, the gastrocnemius, and the soleus. No spotters needed for this exercise. The cues, the first cue is feet at the same time, so this reminds them to land with the feet on the ground at the same time. The second is knees bent, to land with your knees bent to absorb the force. And the third is knees out, to prevent valgus collapse of the knees. 3 sources of error. The first is your feet landing at different times, so the cue of feet same time reminds them to land the ground at the same time. Second error is landing with your knees with your legs straight, so the cue of knees bent reminds them to land with their knees bent to absorb the weight. And the third is landing with a valgus collapse of the knees, so the cue of knees out prevents this from happening.